Okay, cool. Let's jump in. So my name is Brittany Bordelot. I have been with PosterElite nearly 11 years. And today's objective is to kind of go through labor law posting compliance and general product knowledge. So our agenda for today is just a high level go through PosterElite's why we do what we do. Keeping that why close and creating that connection with your products, your clients is a big thing for us. So that's of major importance. And then product knowledge, to Adam's point, kind of the need, the why, the how, all of that will get covered. And then some FAQs. So these are frequently asked questions that we've heard from end users that you might hear. And we just want you to be comfortable and confident in addressing those questions. And in addition to today's recording and deck, there are some other supplemental sales support tools and things that'll just get you guys really prepared and ready to go. So first off, why did we, as in PosterElite, really create labor law posting solutions specifically for the payroll industry, right? And the reason is the big guys do it. So Gusto, Rippling, all of the big payroll, PEO, HR companies out there provide some type of labor law posting compliance. And this is why the typical business owner looks to their business services provider for things like labor law poster compliance. I know this is a basic level, basic compliance need, but it is required. It is mandatory for every type of business with one paid employee or more.
And Brittany, just absolutely quickly, since you talked about the payroll providers, you kind of feel like they provided or things like that. I guess I'm confused by that part, because from what my understanding is, Gusto or other ones that are out there, they understand that it's required, but I will say, at least from a lot of our clients, they don't really push it all that hard, and they don't have any solutions of their own directly per se, or am I mistaking that?
So it depends on the individual. So like specifically for Rippling, and not to go too deep into competitors, but like for competitive analysis. So like for Rippling, they've actually brought it into their software. So technically it's theirs. I mean, they're not the ones creating the content, right? But it is their service. For Gusto, what we're looking at on the screen now, when I say include, I mean provide easy access to. So yes, you are 100% correct. It is not something that they are building or necessarily in an OEM relationship right this minute, but they are providing easy access to, understand the importance, know the need, and creating that buzz within employers throughout the country. Does that make sense?
What do you know about it? How can our team talk confidently? We have a lot of our customers on Rippling and a bunch, of course, on Gusto as well. Mm-hmm. How should they talk through the offering on Rippling, and whether, let's say, one of our clients should use Rippling's offering or use PosterElite's?
Okay, so with Rippling, they have different segmentation within their business, right? They have the PEO side, they have payroll only side, they have different segmentation. So what I can confidently educate you guys on is the fact that with the PEO, it is built into their system and it is included. It is not an additional add-on. It's not something that they sell separately. Like you said, it's that digital piece and it's just baked in there. It's included. With the payroll side of things, I don't want to misrepresent or mislead. I am not 100% familiar, and I disclose this in your email as well. I don't know exactly what their offering is. I know that they have it as something that they, like you said, they don't really stand behind. They don't really pay too much attention to it. They don't really care, but it's there. With Gusto, I'm very familiar and very confident. Like you said, they have it as an add-on. It's not something that they're doing specifically. It's going to be extremely comparable to your guys's, except you have the service touch, you have the relationship, you have the knowledge behind it, versus them having to kind of self-educate or self-teach or self-learn. But I mean, product-wise, it's comparable, and your guys is potentially even better. But with Gusto, not with Rippling, I can't speak to that.
Do you guys? I mean, do you have customers who are on Rippling's regular payroll service and also have a PosterElite, or is it just basically like you guys? If we have customers who are on Rippling, we should just always use the internal Rippling offering? Or
no? Well, Rippling PEO or Rippling payroll?
Payroll.
So no, that is a huge opportunity for you guys. That's a miss in their payroll department. That's what I'm saying. So we are baked in to their rippling PEO. The payroll side of things is not really paying too much attention to labor law posters. So in my opinion, there is huge opportunity with your clients that are utilizing rippling payroll where this might be a gap in the service. And you guys would have a ton of potential of educating them and informing them and protecting them through this solution.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So are your clients struggling with labor law posting compliance? The answer is yes. There's nobody really out there telling them what they need. So if Levy can come to the table, be that trusted advisor, be that resource, and really help simplify compliance, that is the goal. Everything we do is white labeled for you guys. So we want you to claim the credit. We want you to claim really the positioning with the customer. You be front of stage, let us be behind the scenes, kind of automating everything for that client. Now, with retail price points, so Office Depot and Staples are obviously big box retail. That's your client remembering to traverse to a store and actually purchase labor law posters. Paychecks Direct is an online website, which a lot of employers have access to. They use SEO, it's available. If your clients are purchasing labor law posters one-off, they're spending $55 to $60. This is just a physical poster that says no digital component, no ongoing updates. This is just a standalone physical poster. Now, when we think of that physical poster, we think of a quilt. So every different governing agency releases their own posting, and then PosterElite does the dirty work of aggregating them onto one simplified poster. So your clients can be rest assured that they have exactly what they need. They don't need to worry. They don't need to think. They don't need to be upsold. This is what they need from a state and federal compliance standpoint. All mandatory and highly recommended postings are included on this all-in-one poster.
So Brittany, just so I understand it, so for the cost per set, if a company pays $60 one time, that includes, and they have employees all over the country, that includes all the posters for all their locations for all their employees in every jurisdiction, and they are done for the year.
No,
what are they getting? What is a set defined as?
This is just a state and federal labor law poster. So just a physical one-time snapshot in time physical poster. This has nothing to do with ongoing updates. This has nothing to do with a digital component. This is a physical poster that a business would hang in a work site, right? In a physical brick and mortar, and would need in their break room or their communal area or their kitchen, which again is required for every business with one paid employee or more frequenting a work site. So this is just referencing that physical all-in-one state and federal labor law poster.
Right, but so it's specific per state in jurisdiction.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So
if you have 5 offices, in theory, like I'll put offices in quotes. If you have 5 offices, you need 5 sets.
Correct, because the state's postings are unique to that state, and then the federal is blanketed for everybody.
Okay, and I think you maybe get to this near the end, but it would actually be really helpful if you could skip ahead, maybe did like the why, like defining labor law posters, why this is important, why this is required, and like just helping like even sort of start from like the base level of like what are labor law posters, why are they relevant, how does this work in every jurisdiction, like pretend that our team doesn't know anything, and like almost start from the underlying foundation of what the requirements are here and what is going on with.
Sure. So with each posting, like I mentioned, there's different governing agencies across the country, right? And each governing agency, whether it's the EEOC, the Department of Labor, they're responsible for crafting a notice, which is basically a physical description of some type of employee labor law. And this is required for every business across the country to display in the workplace. So what the poster does is it simplifies that, right? It takes all of those notices. Some are talked about in the news, some are well known, some people have no idea that they even exist, but there is still a requirement for them to be hung, regardless of size of business, type of business, industry. These are mandatory to hang. So the poster does that for them. It makes it easy. It takes all of those postings that are created by the different governing agencies and consolidates them onto one space-saving poster.
Now, could we even back up a little bit further about like the space-saving poster? Great, got it. But like, I mean, what do people actually read and look at this? Like, walk me through like the underlying law back in the day of like why these are important. What was the thesis behind why these need to be posted somewhere? why in theory does this matter in state and federal jurisdictions care about having these posted?
Yeah, I mean, the reason is for employers to maintain a safe and healthy work environment, right? Like if these employees are treated unfairly or they're working in unsafe working conditions, the employer's liable. The employer is the person that is responsible for creating that safe and healthy work environment. So these are literal laws that protect the employee rights so that they can do their day-to-day roles within these organizations without feeling threatened by other employees or at risk or in danger. So, I mean, each law, right, has been released at a different stance in time. Some of the stuff like the ADA stuff all had to do with discrimination and class and disabled, right? And then as you get a little bit more recently, it's gender equity and paid sick leave. So the innate purpose of these laws is to protect the individuals and their human rights and their basic rights and their employee rights, so that, yes, people aren't going to sit around and read these and it's not leisure reading material, but legally they have to be up, they have to be posted in a certain font so it is legible, in a certain color contrast combination so that the employee could read them. And it's there for them to read. Now, if they don't take action and read it, shame on them, but as long as the employers fulfilled their obligation of providing it, that's the reason behind them.
So in a sense, is it a liability? It is, I guess it's sort of two things it's trying to accomplish with the posting, which is one, employees are put on notice of their official rights.
Their employee labor laws, correct.
Yeah. And then also, I guess, because they are posted, it reduces potential liability because these states require people to have these things posted.
Correct.
In the first place. So it's sort of
exactly. Yep. Yeah.
So then walk me through. So this is actual posters in an office, things like that.
Correct.
Great. All of Levy's clients are either completely or mostly remote. Can you walk me through how that works in a remote setting and remote only, and then like hybrid settings?
Yes. So in a physical office, which is a hybrid setting, how to display the labor law posters? They have to be hung in an unlocked, unblocked setting. So think communal space, kitchen, break room, hallway. It cannot be in a conference room with a lock on the door or a manager's office with a lock on the door. They have to be exposed and readily available. So in addition to where they're hung, if a client has multiple offices, they have to be hung in each individual office. You cannot just hang these up at corporate and everybody else is good to go. So that is the requirement for anything physical or that hybrid scenario. When you're talking digital, so as of December 2020, so in the thick of COVID, when all of this kind of came to a head, in December of 2020, at the federal level, it became a requirement to provide digital labor law postings to employees. And there's the Department of Labor and OSHA that have guidelines and recommendations on how to do that. So it should be beyond reasonably easy for the employees to obtain the notices. It should have some type of confirmation or digital acknowledgement by the employee that they're receiving these. The whole intention behind the digital postings and it being actually completed is to mitigate the risk of the employer if a lawsuit or an audit came to light. So by providing the digital labor law postings, they're kind of checking that box and fulfilling the employer obligation at the federal level. And then with all of the features of the e-update service and the e-poster service, which you guys offer, that kind of checks those additional boxes of DOL and OSHA guidelines towards how to doing it, not just that you have to do it. Does that make sense?
For some reason, get on. So it somewhat makes sense. So in the digital world, it's being posted, or they're kind of being put on notice that they are receiving these posters, and the posters are relevant to each individual. Because obviously, or maybe not obviously, I assume no government agency is expecting me to take a physical poster. I work from home, as does our entire team.
Right.
I'm not going to decorate my wall with a labor law poster.
You're not going to hang it above your fireplace?
As delightful as you make them look, that is not my fault.
No, correct. And, previously, that's how some employers were doing it. They were shipping a physical poster to a remote employee's office or home office and expecting them to hang it in their garage or in their home office or over their fireplace. Like, that's not going to happen. So by doing this digitally, and it's the government, so everything takes a little bit longer, but by requiring that it's done digitally, the expectation of it actually being done is much higher. And then the reality of the employer actually taking action and doing it is much higher, because it's so much easier and so much more realistic than shipping a physical poster to somebody's home office. Like, they're not going to hang it. They're not going to take action. So it's either shipping a physical poster, not doing anything, which is just not an option as of December 2020, or, doing something like this, like an intranet site or an e-poster service, which just automates everything.
So Robbie is a good question, and maybe you could, this is probably on your discussion here as well, but walk through what digital labor law posters companies such as PosterElite actually does and how that works. Like, what does that look like for this new world of remote?
Totally. So what you guys now offer, it's called the e-poster service. And how it works is, first we determine there's a need. Like you said, typically employers now have remote employees. It's just this modern hybrid workplace. That's how it works. Once they sign up through a registration form, which I'll show you in a minute on the how, it dynamically creates an employer profile on the e-poster service platform. So this is a custom link that dynamically self-generates an employer profile. They have access to adding employees one at a time, or we have a batch upload spreadsheet template if they're a little bit larger. So once the employee's information makes its way into the e-poster service platform, it triggers a welcome email to the individual. And that really helps them get into their personalized portal. So again, leaning on these DOL and OSHA guidelines, this is a personalized portal. When that employee logs in, they only see the federal, state, county, and city notices that apply to where they're working from. So it's custom. The system forces them to digitally acknowledge that they have received, read, and understood those employment laws. And that e-signature actually generates a certificate of acknowledgement, and the system stores it. And then when a posting change happens or a new notice is released, the system automatically prompts the employee back in. It'll force them to mimic that process, and then the additional certificates will get generated and stored. So this is the e-poster service. Again, this totally automates everything. You can even toggle it from English to Spanish depending on employee need. There are additional e-minders built into the system that automatically go out if the employee doesn't take action. So this is a very comprehensive and robust way of satisfying those new requirements.
How does that work in hybrid environments?
So in hybrid environments, we can't give legal advice, but what most SHRM professionals would say is, where is the employee spending 51% of their time? And you can kind of lean on that. If they're in an office 51% of the time, then that physical labor law poster could satisfy that requirement. If they're working remotely 51% of the time, this would definitely satisfy that requirement. So it's more of an internal stance, just knowing what could happen. We have some PEO partners that just choose to put every single employee on here because they want that extra layer of confirmation and protection. So it really just depends on the individual employer and, where the employees are spending the majority of their time.
And so you guys provide, how do you determine then when a company should be receiving the digital version and a paper? Like, so for Levy, we're fully remote. So having a paper version would never make sense.
Right. 100%. It'd be so unnecessary. The reason for a physical poster, like you said, in that hybrid scenario, is if one paid employee, so it's not like a threshold of 5, if one paid employee or more frequents a work site, that is the determination that a physical poster is required to be hung in that physical work site.
Is a physical work site, if someone has a co-working space, let's say, that is paid for, provided by the company, and it's just like an individual office.
Right, like a WeWork or something like that.
Yeah, you get a WeWork for yourself to go into an office.
Yeah.
Is that considered, you need a physical poster up, or is that more, they're basically remote, they just don't want to work remote?
Right. So again, we can't give legal advice, but in my opinion, in that situation, I would get them on the e-poster service, and I would not even think twice about a physical poster.
Okay, cool. And Robbie asked exactly the right question, which is, how do e-posters apply, if at all, to international teammates?
Great question. So at this time, the ePoster service only contains US-based postings. So there are Canadian-based postings, there's European-based postings. This particular product is strictly for those based in the States at this time.
And then how do speaking with, Gusto is the example,
Yeah.
but I suppose also with Rippling, how do you guys track current employees, former employees, and when new employees are added? How does that work?
So the system's cool. It does all of it for you. There's reports that can get generated at any time by the HR admin. And there's 3 variations. They tell you the employee's last login date to the system, if they're compliant, yes or no, how many notices they've viewed versus unviewed. So that really helps the HR admin. And then if an employee is terminated or no longer with that employer, their status gets changed by the HR admin from active to archived. So we'll never lose the data because typically a lawsuit happens after the employee's been let go. So that data is in there in perpetuity. The HR admin has access to it, but they're no longer billable. So that particular employee goes from an active to an archived status, and that's how.
But to be clear, it's a manual step by the HR admin. There's
Correct.
No direct connection that you guys have from, like, let's say an API that notifies you when a new employee has either joined a company and like been added to Gusto or has been terminated via Gusto. It's
correct. So the system is API capable, right? There's API manuals, it's API capable, it's open API, but we do not have an integration with Gusto at this time. So the employer, the HR admin, would have to do it once a month because we bill monthly, right? So they would have to do it once a month just to make sure that their data is up to date and that those new employees are getting added and that the terminated employees are, effectively being archived.
So with time running out, we have only 4 minutes. What other key things do you think are critical for our team or our clients to understand? So
there's a 2-minute product video on this ePoster service, which I'm not going to waste the time now. I'm going to send that separately. I'm going to record this training in its entirety so that you guys can kind of listen and pick out the nuggets of what you want to effectively communicate to internally and with end users. But what I think is really important is showing you guys this custom coded link. Do you see pages.posterelite.com/Levy?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so this is a custom link, which again allows your client or you guys internally to self-educate. So there's some features, advantages, benefits, price points. They can watch the video, you can watch the video, and then this is how the client would actually get set up. So I just want you guys to know that your retail price point for the e-update service is about $2 less than Gusto. So you're definitely incentivizing the client there, not just with the service feature and the consultative nature, but also with the actual price point. And then the remote employees, like I said, watch this 2-minute video. It's killer. It'll take you into the software itself so you can see it, how it works, kind of get that user experience. You could also try out, like you can start a free trial. You could get 30 days free. So as, an individual, you can sign up, kind of go through what your client would go through just to get that full overall understanding. And then there's just additional information, some stats, really, really good nuggets in here. So I would check this out. And then this is the actual how that is provided to the client on how they would register.
Excellent. Any other key things that are critical just to understand about labor law posters, how it works? I think the other question is, we like to be comprehensive in our recommendations. So obviously we have a partnership with you guys, but at the same time, what other vendors, if any, are out there that our team should at least include in the discussion so our clients know we're being comprehensive? For sure.
So PosterElite specifically works in this channel, the payroll, PEO, HR space. We work with about 900 different partners nationwide, some tiny startups, some, huge super independents like Gusto, for example. We are the only provider out there that does a true pay-as-you-go product. So there are some other poster vendors that kind of do a big box retail approach in this channel, and it doesn't fit. It feels almost like round hole, square peg. But that being said, there's probably 2 other poster vendors nationwide, a little bit more expensive, obviously not branded for Levy, that I could send you just to check them out. Just again, so you have that comprehensive like list, but what we do and what we do for this channel is completely unique. And that's one of the cool things over my 11 years here is like our products are so unique and so specific and so intentional. You'll find when you're looking at, you know, your clients and their needs and all of the support features, this is a really, really good fit. And then one last thing, because there's 1 minute. So this is another resource, posterupdates.com. This is a really, really cool value-added tool. So you can look through here on the first tab, and it just gives you a hit list of recent changes. So you can kind of see what states are experiencing in real time as things change. We also give you a hit list of anticipated changes. There's no other reps out there providing this information to their clients. So this is a really cool way for you guys to differentiate and just kind of level up those conversations. And then also posting and notice downloads. So in addition to the state and federal labor law postings, there are industry specific postings and local level postings. We make them all available here for free download. A lot of other poster companies will charge for these things. We want you to have simplified access. Again, it's divided by state. If it's available in different languages, that'll be available here. But this is a really, really cool resource that I highly, highly recommend just checking out and kind of, you know, navigating through and playing around a little bit.
And one last question for you. If we have questions directly, and we'll put this in our knowledge base internally, should you be the main point of contact just to ask questions to? And,
I'll be the main point of contact. We have project managers for our different solutions, and then we have like obviously support teams for the different solutions, but I'll be your primary main point of contact moving forward.
Excellent. Brittany, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time.
Totally. And then let me record, like I said, let me record the training in its entirety because a lot of the questions you asked are covered. It just, you know, it depends on the slide. So I'll record that tomorrow with you know, a human face so that there's tied to it. And then if you need anything else, just let me know.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great day.